My name is Nora Vance, and I am 34 years old. The night my colleagues refused to let me sit at the main table, we were at a corporate dinner celebrating a major deal. The kind of event where executives network, make connections, position themselves for advancement. The restaurant was upscale. Private room. Long table at the center. Smaller tables along the walls. Seating was supposedly open. But everyone knew the truth. The main table was for important people. Partners. Senior management. Decision makers. The outer tables were for everyone else. Support staff. Junior employees. People who did not matter enough to be at the center. I arrived early. Saw the main table. Started to sit. My colleague Marcus stopped me. That table is reserved for partners and senior management. I am senior management. I am director of strategic development. He laughed. Uncomfortable. Yeah, but you know. The real senior management. People who have been here a while. Who have proven themselves. I have been here 8 years. Still. Maybe sit over there. He pointed to a table in the corner. Near the wall. Away from the conversation. Away from the networking. Away from being seen. I looked at him. At the other people filtering in. At how they avoided eye contact. How they agreed silently with his assessment. That I did not belong at the main table. Why? He hesitated. Because that is just how it is. The table is for people who close big deals. Who bring in major clients. You are more behind the scenes. Support. Important, but not main table important. I closed big deals. Brought in major clients. My division generated 40% of company revenue last year. I had the numbers. The results. The proof I belonged. But they did not see it that way. Did not acknowledge it. Did not value it. Because I was not loud. Not flashy. Not male. Not part of the club they had built around themselves. Fine. I will sit over there. I walked to the corner table. Sat down. Alone. Other junior staff joined me eventually. People who also did not matter enough. We made small talk. Pretended not to notice how we had been relegated. Pushed aside. Made invisible. At the main table, Marcus sat with the other partners. Talking. Laughing. Making toasts. Celebrating the big deal. The acquisition they had just closed. The merger that would expand the company. The success they were all claiming credit for. What they did not say, what they did not acknowledge, was that I had structured the deal. I had done the financial analysis. The risk assessment. The negotiation strategy. I had spent 6 months building the framework that made the acquisition possible. But I was not at the main table. Because behind the scenes work did not count. Because results without performance did not matter. Because being competent was not the same as being visible. My colleague Sarah sat next to me. Whispered. This is ridiculous. You should be up there. It is fine. It is not fine. You did half the work on that deal. More than half. They do not see it that way. Then make them see it. I shook my head. I do not need to make anyone see anything. I know what I did. That is enough. But it was not enough. Not really. Because while I pretended not to care, while I told myself results mattered more than recognition, part of me was angry. Hurt. Tired of being dismissed. Of being relegated to corners. Of being treated like support staff when I was anything but. The dinner ended. People filtered out. The partners shook hands. Made plans for drinks. Kept networking. Kept building their club. I left quietly. Drove home. Sat in my apartment. Thought about what had happened. About whether I wanted to keep fighting for recognition in a place that refused to see me. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost did not answer. But something made me pick up. Hello. Miss Vance. This is David Chin. I am on the board of directors for your company. Do you have a moment to talk? Of course. I was at the dinner tonight. Noticed you were not at the main table. That seemed odd to me. Given your role in the acquisition. It was a seating arrangement. Nothing official. Still. I wanted to reach out. I have been reviewing the acquisition documents. Your name is on almost everything. Analysis. Projections. Strategy. You built this deal. Yet the partners are taking credit. That is how it works sometimes. It should not be. He paused. I would like to discuss something with you. Privately. Can we meet tomorrow? What about your future? And potentially, a new role. The next morning, I met David Chen at a coffee shop. Neutral ground. Away from the office. Away from the partners who would ask questions. Who would want to know why a board member was meeting with me privately? David was older. 50s. Silver hair. Sharp suit. He was one of 3 board members. Had been with the company since its founding. Knew everyone. Knew everything. Had influence. Thank you for meeting me, he said. I know this is unusual. What is this about? Directly. The board is concerned. About leadership. About how credit is being distributed. About who is actually driving success versus who is performing success. The partners drive success. Do they? Because from where I sit, you drive success. And they perform it. I said nothing. Just sipped my coffee. Waited. He continued. I have been reviewing performance data. Revenue by division. Deal outcomes. Client retention. Your division outperforms every other by significant margins. Yet you are paid less. Promoted less. Recognized less. Why? You would have to ask the partners. I am asking you. I thought about how to answer. How to be honest without sounding bitter. Without undermining people who technically had power over me. Because I am not loud. Because I do not play politics. Because I focus on work instead of visibility. That matters in some companies. This is one of them. That is a problem. For me or for the company? Both. He leaned forward. The board is considering changes. Restructuring. We need leadership that actually produces results. Not just claims credit for them. We need people who understand strategy. Who can build. Who can execute. People like you. What kind of changes? Advisory roles. New positions. Potentially, a shift in how senior management is structured. But I need to know. Are you interested in something different? Something where your contributions are recognized? Valued? Compensated properly? I am listening. Good. Because we are considering creating an advisory board. Small group. 3 to 5 people. They would work directly with the board of directors. Provide strategic guidance. Evaluate major decisions. Have real influence over company direction. And we want you on it. Why me? Because you are the best strategist in the company. Because you built the acquisition everyone is celebrating. Because you do not need credit to do excellent work. That is rare. That is valuable. That is what we need. What about the partners? They will not like this. Probably not. But the board is not asking their permission. We are restructuring to protect the company. To ensure competence drives decisions. Not politics. Not performance. Competence. I thought about it. About what this meant. About whether I wanted to stay. Whether this was the right move. Whether I trusted David. Whether I trusted the board. What is the timeline? We are announcing restructuring in 2 weeks. New advisory board. New reporting structures. New compensation packages. If you agree, you would be named as one of the advisors. Report directly to the board. Have influence over major strategic decisions. And the partners? Would report to the advisory board for strategic matters. Operations would remain theirs. But big picture decisions? Those come to you. That will cause conflict. Yes. It will. Are you prepared for that? I thought about the dinner. About sitting in the corner. About being dismissed. About years of doing excellent work without recognition. Without respect. Without acknowledgement. Yes. I am prepared. Good. He pulled out a folder. Here is the proposal. Compensation. Responsibilities. Reporting structure. Review it. Let me know by the end of the week. I took the folder. Agreed. Left the coffee shop feeling something I had not felt in years. Power. Real power. Not the performance of it. The substance of it. I spent 3 days reviewing the proposal. Reading every clause. Every responsibility. Every detail. Making sure I understood what I was agreeing to. The compensation was substantial. Double my current salary. Plus equity. plus performance bonuses. Enough to change my life. To give me security. Freedom. Options. The responsibilities were clear. Strategic advisory. Major decision evaluation. Direct board reporting. Influence without operational burden. The ability to shape direction without managing day-to-day chaos. The reporting structure was elegant. Advisory board reports to board of directors. Partners report to advisory board for strategic matters. Clean. Clear. Powerful. But the conflict was obvious. The partners would hate this. Would see it as undermining them. Would resist. Would make my life difficult. I called David. Told him I had questions. We met again. Same coffee shop. I brought my notes. This restructuring. How will the partners react? Poorly. At first. But they will adapt. Or they will leave. Either way, the company moves forward. What if they sabotage me? Then they expose themselves. And the board removes them. Nora, you need to understand. We are not asking you to play nice. We are asking you to lead. To make hard calls. To prioritize company success over personal comfort. Can you do that? Yes. Even if it costs you relationships? Even if people you have worked with for years resent you? I have been paying that cost for years. They have resented my competence. My results. My refusal to play their games. At least now I will have power to match the resentment. He smiled. Then we have a deal. We have a deal. He pulled out a contract. I signed. Effective immediately. I was an advisor. Part of the new leadership structure. No longer the person relegated to corner tables. The person making decisions about who sat where. 2 weeks later, the board announced the restructuring. Company-wide meeting. All staff. Partners. Everyone. The CEO spoke first. Explained the changes. New advisory board. New strategic oversight. New reporting structures. Designed to ensure excellence. Accountability. Results-driven leadership. Then he announced the advisory board members. 3 people. 2 external consultants with decades of experience. And me. I saw the partners react. Shock. Confusion. Anger. Marcus looked like someone had punched him. The other partners whispered. Glared. Processed what this meant. That I now had authority over them. That I was no longer behind the scenes. That the person they had relegated to the corner table now sat above them. After the meeting, Marcus confronted me. In the hallway. Voice low but angry. What did you do? I did my job. The board noticed. Made an offer. I accepted. You went behind our backs. Undermined us. I did nothing behind anyone's back. The board restructured. I was offered a position. I took it. This is not going to work. We have been here longer. Built this company. You cannot just come in and take over. I am not taking over operations. I am providing strategic oversight. Big difference. You are trying to control us. I am trying to help the company succeed. If that threatens you, maybe you should ask yourself why. He walked away. Fuming. The other partners avoided me. Made their resentment clear. I expected that. Prepared for it. Did not let it change my focus. My first advisory board meeting was scheduled for the following week. I prepared. Reviewed current projects. Identified inefficiencies. Prepared recommendations. Approached it like I approached everything. With competence. With data. With strategy. The meeting went well. The board listened. Asked questions. Valued my input. Implemented my recommendations. For the first time in my career, I felt heard. Seen. Valued. But the partners made things difficult. Questioned my decisions. Slow-walked implementations. Made passive-aggressive comments in meetings. Tried to undermine me. I documented everything. Reported to the board. Let them handle it. Within 3 months, 2 partners had left. Voluntarily. Unable to adapt to the new structure. Unwilling to accept oversight. Good. The company was better without them. 6 months after joining the advisory board, the company was thriving. Revenue up 23%. Client retention at an all-time high. New deals closing regularly. The restructuring was working. My role had expanded. I was not just advising. I was leading. Making decisions. Shaping strategy. The board trusted me. Deferred to me on major calls. I had proven myself. Again. But more than that, I had changed. Become more confident. More willing to claim credit. To be visible. To stop hiding behind the scenes. One evening, there was another corporate dinner. Celebrating a new acquisition. Bigger than the last one. More complex. More profitable. The seating was different this time. The main table was larger. More seats. Room for everyone who contributed. I arrived. Walked toward the main table. No one stopped me. No one questioned. I sat at the center. Where I belonged. Marcus was there. Sitting toward the end. We made eye contact. He nodded. Acknowledged. Accepted. The fight was over. He had lost. Or maybe, finally understood I had never been his enemy. During dinner, the CEO made a toast. Thanked the team. Acknowledged contributions. Then he did something unexpected. He turned to me. This deal would not have happened without Nora. Her strategy. Her analysis. Her leadership. She built the framework. Negotiated the terms. Made this possible. To Nora. Everyone raised their glasses. To Nora. Even the people who had resented me. Even the people who had doubted. They toasted. Because results are undeniable. And I had results. After dinner, Sarah found me. Smiled. That was a long time coming. Yes. It was. How does it feel? To finally be recognized? I thought about that. About the years of being dismissed. The corner tables. The behind-the-scenes work. The quiet competence that no one valued. Different. Good. Right. You deserve it. Maybe. Or maybe I just finally stopped accepting less than I was worth. A year after joining the advisory board, I got another call. This time from a headhunter. A different company. Larger. More prestigious. They had heard about my work. Wanted to discuss a chief strategy officer position. I took the meeting. Out of curiosity. Out of interest in what else was possible. The company was impressive. Fortune 500. Global. Operations. Complex challenges. They needed someone to overhaul strategy. Build new frameworks. Led transformation. The compensation was extraordinary. 3 times my current salary. Plus equity. Plus benefits that would set me up for life. But something held me back. Not fear. Just consideration. About whether I wanted to leave. Whether I had more to build where I was. Whether loyalty still meant something. I called David. Told him about the offer. Are you going to take it? I do not know. Part of me wants to stay. Finish what we started. Part of me wants the challenge. The growth. What do you want me to say? The truth. The truth is, you have transformed this company. Made it better. Stronger. More profitable. But you have also outgrown it. You need a bigger stage. More complexity. More impact. This opportunity gives you that. So you think I should leave? I think you should do what is best for you. Not what is loyal. Not what is expected. What is best. I thought about that. About what I wanted. About what I had built. About what came next. What if I stayed? What would that look like? Partnership. Equity stake. Real ownership. Not just advisory. Actual power. We could make that happen. If you want it. And if I leave. Then we wish you well. Thank you for everything. And hope you come back someday when we are big enough to deserve you again. I laughed. I appreciated his honesty. His willingness to lose me if it meant I grew. That was real leadership. It took a week. Thought deeply. Weighted options. Consider futures. Then I made my decision. I stayed. Not out of loyalty. Out of opportunity. The board offered me partnership. 5% equity. Chief Strategy Officer title. Real power. Real ownership. The ability to build something that was partly mine. I negotiated. Hard. Got 7% equity. Got control over strategic hires. Got final say on major acquisitions. Got what I was worth. Because I had learned. You do not accept less just because someone offers. You demand what you deserve. And walk away if they will not give it. They gave it to me. 2 years after being relegated to a corner table, I was a partner. An owner. A leader who had earned her seat not through performance but through competence. Through results. Through the undeniable reality of value created. The company continued to grow. My division expanded. We hired aggressively. Built teams. Closed deals. Became the most profitable part of the organization. And I never forgot where I started. The corner table. The dismissal. The assumption that I did not matter. That I did not belong. I used that. As fuel. As motivation. As proof that visibility is not the same as value. That performance is not the same as competence. That the people making the most noise are not always the people making the most difference. 3 years after that first dinner, there was another corporate event. Celebrating our most successful year ever. Record revenue. Record profits. Record growth. The seating was different again. Now there was no main table. Just one long table. Everyone is together. Partners. Staff. Junior employees. Senior management. All equal. All valued. Because I had restructured it. I insisted on it. Argued that hierarchy at dinners reflected hierarchy in thinking. And hierarchy in thinking limited innovation. Collaboration. Success. They listened. Because by then, my voice carried weight. My decisions shaped culture. My values defined how we operated. Marcus sat next to me. Not by accident. By choice. He had stayed. Adapted. Learned. Become better. Near the end of dinner, he leaned over. Said something I never expected. I was wrong. About you. About the seating. About thinking you did not belong at the main table. You did not just belong. You should have been leading it. Thank you for saying that. Do you ever think about that night? When we made you sit in the corner? Every day. It reminds me why I do what I do. Why do I build systems that value competence over performance? Why I fight for people who are dismissed. I am glad you stayed. So am I. The dinner ended. People filtered out. I stayed late. Sat alone at the long table. Thought about the journey. The corner table. The advisory board offer. The partnership. The growth. They refused to let me sit at the main table. Pointed me to the corner. Joked about where I belonged. I rested my hands and waited. Did not fight. Did not argue. Just let their dismissal reveal who they were. What they valued. How they measured worth. That night, their company contacted me privately. Offered me power. Influence. Recognition. Changed my seat forever. Not because I demanded it. Because I earned it. Through work they could not deny it. Through results they could not dismiss. Through competence that transcended politics. Their chairs emptied over time. Some left voluntarily. Some were pushed out. Some adapted and stayed. But the structure changed. The culture changed. The company changed. Because the person they relegated to the corner refused to stay there. Not through noise. Through excellence. Through the quiet, undeniable accumulation of value. Through proving that the people making the least noise are often the people making the most impact. I learned something important. You do not need to fight for recognition. You just need to build something so valuable that recognition becomes inevitable. That people cannot ignore. Cannot dismiss. Cannot relegate to corners. And when they finally see you, when they finally acknowledge what you built, you are already so far ahead that their belated recognition does not matter. You already have what you need. Power. Influence. Success. On your terms. Built your way. Undeniable. Unshakable. Yours. That is worth more than any seat at any table. That is worth the years of being dismissed. The corner tables. The quiet competence that no one valued until it became impossible to ignore. I built that. They did not give it to me. They just finally stopped pretending I did not have it. And that made all the difference.